My name is Kemmer, and I grew up in Crabwatcher, Tennessee, in the country. And at age 8, I accepted Christ during a revival service. But then I didn't go back to the church until I was over 35 years old. So I grew up not knowing God's Word. I knew a few Bible stories, but that was it. So at around age 35, I did go back to church, and I was going there for about 6 months, and then I went there on a Sunday, and there's a group up front talking about a mission trip that they'd been on to, I think it was Brazil. And this is the first time I'd ever heard of a mission trip. I didn't even really know what it was, but I was so interested, and I knew it was something that I had to do. I don't know why, it was just in my heart that this is something that I have to do. So a few months later, they asked for people to go to Honduras. I knew I had to respond. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I didn't know where the funds would come from. I didn't know what I was going to do while I was there, but I knew I had to go. And I did, and it was a life-changing trip. I didn't do any great things. You know, I did puppet shows. I didn't share the gospel with a single soul, but I loved it. I loved it. I loved those children, just the look in their eyes, the adults, everyone. It was great. I knew it was something I had to do again. So my best friend called me. She's like a second or third mother to me. So she called, and she's thinking that we need to go to Africa. And I'm like, are you crazy? We're women. We don't need to be in the bush in a tent with wild animals. And besides that, you're a diabetic, and you're 65 years old. And no, I'm not going. We're not going. We're not going. But a few weeks later, I called her back because I knew I had to go to Africa. And that was really my life-changing experience. It was the first time I had shared the gospel, and it was all day, every day, walking hut to hut with my translator, sharing the gospel with families. And I just saw God use me in a way that I'd never been used before. It really changed my life. And it doesn't matter who you are and what you know and how many Bible schools you've been to. God will give you the words that the other person needs to hear. I saw it happen time and time again, and that changed my life. So I continued going on mission trips for 7 years, and I loved it. So it turned out that my mother's church was going on a mission trip, and they know I'm always up for a mission trip, so they sent word to me to see if I was interested in going with them. And I'm like, well, Mom, where are they going? Well, I'm not real sure. It's something that starts with an N. I think it's in Africa. Turns out a month or so before we left, it was Nicaragua. So I came to Nicaragua, and I had a very different experience here. It was different than any other Central American countries I'd been to, and I really enjoyed it. I met the people who owned the mission house where we were staying, and told them anytime they needed people to fill in on a trip, I was always available for a mission trip. So I came to Nicaragua 4 times the first year. And on that 4th trip, they offered me a full-time opportunity as a volunteer to run their mission house. So that's how I got to Nicaragua. And I'm just so thankful that God used them to get me here. So I've made the decision to come to Nicaragua, and that wasn't a hard decision to make. I'd been waiting for the chance, and I had 3 months to sell all my stuff, raise my support, and so that was in January of 2005. So I'm surprised. I'm so blessed to be here to work in Nicaragua as a full-time missionary. So Nicaragua is the second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. It's second to Haiti. There are so many needs here. Most people struggle every day just to get food on the table. Whenever you're struggling every day just to put food on the table, you don't have the extra funds to buy medicine, to go to the doctor, to buy your kids uniforms to go to school, just to put shoes on their feet. There's so many needs here, and there are no government programs to help them. So whenever teams come to Nicaragua, you can minister in any area you would like to. There's preschoolers, there's elementary, there's high school, there's private schools, there's public schools, there's seniors. You can minister at the dump. You can go to churches. You can feed people. You can give them clothes. Whatever it is, they need it. There's so many needs here. And based on your team members, that's how you decide what you need to do. You can do construction. My goal here in Nicaragua is to enable teams to come here and minister, and for God to be able to work in their hearts and change them. They will see needs in their own community that they never saw before once they get back to their home. I know that a lot of people think that a mission trip is going to be difficult and uncomfortable, sweaty, and there's not going to be very much food. But it's not like that. I try to provide a safe place for you to stay, a safe, comfortable place with good food that you can eat. You can try some of the local food, but I also have things that you will recognize. And I want you to have a good experience because it's a life-changing experience. I love to watch people come on a mission trip for the first time. I love to watch them over the week and see how they change and see how God is just working in them for His glory. I've had so many people that came here for the first time and then they get back home because it takes a while to process everything. But I usually always hear from them about how it did change their life and that it was a great experience for them. Going on a mission trip will enable you to see God work in a way that you've never seen before. That's the way it was for me. And when you do that, you go back to the States and you see things that you didn't see before. And it gives you a confidence to step out when you didn't before. You would have never stepped out before. It will change your life. And the response that I get is, Kathy, that was wonderful. That was the best mission trip ever. That was an amazing week. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to come back. I'm going to bring the rest of my family. I want my children to come. That's what I want to hear. What I want to say to you, if you're feeling something, a little tug in your heart to go on a mission trip, is to act upon it. Don't let Satan tell you that you're not worthy to go, that you don't know what to do, that you don't have the money, or any of these other things that he's going to throw at you. Just step out and do it. Everything will fall into place. It's happened time and time and time again. The needs in Nicaragua are great. We can't meet all of them. But what we can do is minister to physical needs and then minister to spiritual needs. And if we give them hope in Jesus Christ, if they know that they can depend on Jesus Christ to provide for them, then we can change someone's life for the better. I want to encourage you to come to Nicaragua. Whenever you hear about the next mission trip that's coming up, act on it. Get on the internet, look up Nicaragua, read about it, pray. Do whatever you need to do to get information and get informed. I promise you that going on a mission trip will be a life-changing experience that you will never regret.